what about the human side of the equation, right? This is a delight the consumer business, which has sales associates. It has real human beings who can touch and feel and have good days and bad days and don't get along and occasionally do get along. How do you think about that side of the equation, right? And what measures do you have in place to get early warning signals? Are people getting burned out? Are we having too much attrition in specific stores? Give us a sense of what that is, because again, a lot of the founders who are on this call don't have a massive amount of experience in the offline space where you have to deal with real human beings, right? So give us a sense of that.
Yeah, or human beings in general, right? I think companies are all running, it's made out of people, right? End of the day. I think your strategies and everything, they're just numbers in a model, right? I think you need your people to ensure that you are able to actually implement the strategies really well. Actually, for our employee side of things, we also look at EMPS very similarly, actually, and that gives us a good pulse, right? And it's one simple question of, hey, would you recommend Love Bonito, right? To a yes or no. So very, very similar. And for our teams, I guess it really starts first with onboarding, right? I think a lot of times you look at other numbers like attrition, all of that, but to be honest, the signals would have came up way early on, right? So we really focus also when the moment we bring in someone, we track very tightly the first 30, 60, 90 days, right? Where there are pulse check-ins already to understand how this person is performing, right? If they're happy, if they're not. Is there a misalignment also when it comes to scope, right? Are we also very clear when we give areas of feedback, right? What they can do better, what they're good at the moment, because that's also your time period, right? Before you also get the employee to the stage of confirmation. So we actually keep a very, very tight lid on the first 30, 60, 90 days. Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. I've seen that in very large companies. I must be honest, I haven't seen that in too many smaller companies because again, there's so many moving parts, but it makes a lot of sense, right? The cost of losing great people or not noticing that some people are struggling is even more pronounced at a small company. So actually, you almost have to invert it and really focus in on it. And what you're telling us a little bit is that you have to drive the agenda there a little bit. Of course, you have help doing it, but you need to have a pulse on that problem yourself. Actually.
Yeah. I have so much more actually to add on that and note, because I think typically I noticed too, I think the moment someone has an awesome onboarding experience and first 3 months, to be honest, they are really set up for success. Right. And the moment someone comes in and they have a really terrible onboarding experience, it's like first impressions right on a date. It just goes wrong and it's very hard to salvage and come back from the situation. And if we take a few steps back, then that is where we spend time also really taking time to do our recruitment process. And I understand, I think we're all small, like growing companies and maybe you don't have that time and bandwidth, right? But I would urge everyone to spend a lot of time on recruiting. So we have typically 4 to 6 rounds for every hire.
Wow.
Only recently I've stopped. In the past, I used to actually be myself involved at the final round of every single interview until the end of last year.
How big was the company in terms of employees end of last year?
I mean, through that process, 100 plus, 200. Yeah.
Wow. So all 200 people had individually met with you. People who started after you have met with you.
100. Yeah. In the past, until mid of last year, at least for corporate roles, yes.